Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin from Florals.com, and today I have my top 5 tools to share with you. These were very hard to pick out of all of my tools, but I thought these were the 5 basic ones that I use almost on every layout. But I will share some honorable mentions as well at the end of this video. So to start off, this is one that I use on practically every layout. This is my Scotch ATG, which stands for Advanced Tape Glider Tape Dispenser. This is a tape adhesive. Here, I'll open it up for you. And you replace the adhesive every time it comes on rolls, and then it dispenses out on another roll so you can throw it away or recycle the paper when you're done. These are a little bit pricey and they are a little bit bulky. They do come in pink mostly, but I know there are still some red and yellow ones out there on the market, and mine's quite beat up. But this is definitely my favorite adhesive by far. I love using it. It's fast and easy for me, and I do have larger hands, so it's easier for me to grasp. And I don't find it hard to use at all. There is a learning curve to this. You do have to push, let go. There's a certain method to it. If you've ever had one, you might probably already know that, but I know a lot of people do not like them due to very hard to handle. It's heavy, it's bulky. But again, I got used to it very quickly, and it made this sort of purchase. It's quite expensive for the replacements adhesive as well, and they come in little packs of 2 usually. And they look like this. They come in a box, but I took mine out of the box to fit in my drawer. But this is my favorite glue tape-wise. So I'm going to move that over here. Second up is my second favorite glue, which is in this fine line applicator, and I probably wouldn't use liquid glue if it wasn't for this applicator. So really it's the applicator, which you can see is pretty beat up. But they sell these at Hobby Lobby and on Amazon, and I'll have them linked down below if you're interested. This is the standard tip, and this is the yellow one, which means I believe it's 18 gauge. And they also have a blue one that's 20 gauge. But 18 gauge has a larger hole at the top than 20 gauge. It's a little bit confusing that way. So there's a little tiny hole here, and you squeeze glue out of it. And the glue that I have in here is this glue, which is the Scotch Create Tacky Glue. They used to have a different bottle, but this is the bottle that they have now. And this is just what I refill it with every time. It's just a white adhesive. Looks like Elmer's glue, but dries clear. And it's photo safe, so that's good. So I'm really into Scotch adhesives right now, but I have tried other ones. If you guys would like a full adhesives review and discussion, let me know and I can do a video on that. Next up, we are into tools. These are a recent purchase, and I've talked about these in my favorites videos before, but these are the Cutter Bee Precision Scissors by EK Success Tools. They do come with a little cover like this, and I like that they're called Cutter Bees because they look like little bumblebees, but they're very, very sharp detail scissors. So I think they're also non-stick. I don't have the packaging anymore, but they're great for detail work. I like to use them for cutting out my stamped and colored images, or for fussy cutting paper for scrapbooking. But the one thing I don't like about these, and this is my first pair of precision scissors, say that 5 times fast, is that the holes are so tiny, and when I do normal scissors, I usually put 2 fingers in the other hole, so that's something I've had to get used to. And I also think these work well for lefties, I've heard a couple times, because they have the same size hole on both sides, so they're very easy to use. But I like that they're small and compact and do their job pretty well. So those are on my top 5 as well. Next up, I've talked about this in my favorites as well, and this is the Westcott T-square ruler. This is, I believe, is called a junior size. I think the full size is 18 inches, which is just obnoxious for my little 12 by 12 scrapbook pages. So I have this one, and it's called a T-square ruler because it's a ruler plus another side with straight square edges. So that way you can line things up. So if I were to take this and put it in this corner, I can then take something else and line it up straight across that. So something like that. Little bits that are on my desk to play with as examples. But this is super inexpensive. It should definitely be in your stash if you like straight titles. This works so much better than a regular ruler, which I used to use a regular ruler all the time, so it was a lot harder to get straighter edges. So I would highly recommend one of these. Again, make sure it's a see-through one, just in case you have something you're trying, like a pattern you're trying to line up. The see-through one definitely comes in handy. It even has a little hole at the end here if you wanted to hang it on a pegboard or wanted to, I don't know, put it on a binder ring or something. But this one's pretty great. It does say it's 12 inches, but it also does have centimeters on this side in case you're doing a other types of measurements or following a certain instruction, so you don't have to convert. That has it on both sides, and they line up, which is nice because you know how some rulers have them one way and then they have them the other way, so like you can't like line them up. So this one actually lines up, which is pretty nice. And lastly, on my top 5, I have the EK Tools tweezers. Also a more recent purchase. I think the oldest thing that I have in this pile is my ATG gun, and I do use that on almost every layout. Although you guys have seen me in one of the honorable mention adhesives most recently, so hold on for that. But these are the EK Tools tweezers, and they're automatic closing. So if you're not holding onto the tweezers, they'll hold on to something. So if I were to grasp this foam, I'm pushing it down to open them up, and then I let go for it to hold on, which is really convenient if you're trying to work with something that's hard to hold. Once it's got a hold, it's not going to let go until you let it go. It also features very nice grips on the sides, which most tweezers don't. I have a couple other pairs that don't have grips, and I find them much harder to use. These are pricey for tweezers, but these will last like forever. They do also have quite a pointy edge. Mine's kind of covered in glue now because I use them to put my sequins into place, but very convenient, and they do come with a cover. So that's really, really nice. So these are definitely my top 5. I'll have a little bit more about them over on my blog if you're interested. Just talking about them more and pros and cons about them. But moving on to some honorable mentions, I'll move these over to the side here. Now these are scrapbooking tools. I think I titled this video crafting tools, but again, depends what craft you're doing. So one of my honorable mentions is these little heart dishes. I've not been able to find these online yet. They're from a local retailer. And they're little heart dishes, and I find these so great for pouring things. So I'll put sequins into here, and then they just pour right out because of this nice triangular base. So this is just one thing I tend to use on all of my projects that involve little bits. It's also great if you have a kit and you want to put like little bits in here so you don't lose them. Just overall great little container if you need one. Next up is my water brush pen. Now this particular one I have no idea what the brand is, but it works great. If I can find where I ordered it from, excuse me, I'll definitely have it linked down below if you're interested. It's just one of the push ones, nothing fancy, but water pen is definitely something you need to try out if you haven't already. Love these. I have the Marvy Jewel Picker, which you guys have seen in tons of my videos. It has a small end and a larger end, but there are different types. I think there's one that just comes with a large end if you're not doing some detail work. But it's just a little picker used to pick up things like gems, rhinestones, and sequins. So I find it very, very useful for those kinds of layouts. Next up on the honorable mentions list is this guy, which is new to me, and this is the see-through little craft utility knife. I love using this to open packages, and it's just so much smaller, and I can use it as like an X-Acto knife as well. So it's just been really great. I like that it's blue. It's my favorite color. But it is very, very sharp, and as you can see, you can take out the blade if you want to replace it, which I find very convenient. I prefer to have something that you can replace rather than something you have to like buy over and over again. Next up, we have the Tim Holtz Ideology Tiny Attacher. So it's just a miniature staple stapler, if that makes sense. And I use this occasionally on layouts. I mostly use it to adhere things like hard to attach things, like rubber shapes, certain ribbons. I'll use this. Whatever I can stick a staple through, I will. And it's refillable, like I mentioned. It's a little complicated to open, but you can also staple without the arm down, so you can staple in the middle of your layout if you wish. I've tried that before. Not that I remember how to do it now, but there's definitely a way to do it. But that's how it works. It's a little stapler, and it's just a miniature staple. So I'm sure you guys have heard of this, but it's one of my favorite tools. And it's a great investment. I mean, there are other mini staplers on the market, but this one tends to always do the job right, and I can find refills for it more readily available. Next up is the other adhesive that I was referring to. Now, I'm not sure if this is any longer available. I won this in a giveaway a while back, but it's the Basil's Basic Paper Tape Runner. And I do have one refill for this, so that's good news because I'm still on my first refill. But it's another tape runner like the ATG gun, but smaller and handheld. And I think someone commented on one of my videos that this looks like a foot, and I have to agree, it does look like a foot, the exact shape of a foot. Which now I can't stop thinking about that when I use it. But I really do like it. It does have some grips on it, not as many as the ATG does, but it's just as easy, if not way easier than the ATG gun. So you just glide it across, and without hitting any buttons, it just goes. And these are little chunks of adhesive. It's not a continuous stream like it is with the ATG gun. So again, if you guys would like a more in-depth view of all my adhesives that I do use or potentially could use, I can do a video on all of those if you're interested. But really like this adhesive recently since I pulled it out, besides this fact that it looks like a foot. I don't like that part, but it does the job well and sticks down. And then lastly, we have my trimmer. Now there's a lot of controversy about this trimmer. I think it's this one, but this is my favorite trimmer. It's the one I've had for years and years and years, and it might not always cut straight every time, but also I know I don't hold the paper straight every time, so it might not be the trimmer's fault. But this is the smaller size Fiskars with the sure cut metal line in the middle that sounds like a banjo if you play it. So it goes out to 12 inches, just barely. If anything, oops, sorry about that. If I would have gotten the wider piece, because I always cut things down to 4 inches, whether it be a 3x4 card, a 4x4 photo, or 6x4 mat or something, I always want to cut to 4 inches and I have to open the whole arm up. So other than that, this is a really great trimmer. I think it works great. If you replace the blade often like you should be and use your coupons on your blades, it is a very good trimmer. I find it trims very, very well, but then again, depends on the person. Fiskars does have lifetime warranty on their products, so if you do have issues, you can always contact them, which is super, super helpful. So that is it for my honorable mentions. Another tool I'd like to talk about real quick is my camera. I know I probably won't get questions about my camera, but because I've been talking about it so much. But if you guys do have questions about it, let me know. It is the Canon Rebel T6i. And it's relatively new to me, so if you have like really crazy questions, I might not be able to answer them. But I really love it for filming so far. The viewfinder is one of the best things ever, especially when I'm taking like family portraits or something. Now I can start the timer and be in the video with my family because I can see if it's lined up while I'm over there. So if you guys have any questions about my favorite tools, please let me know in the comments down below, and let me know what one of your favorite tools is. If it's one of these or something else you'd like me to try out and like recommend to me, I'd love to know. I'm sure there's a couple tools that I'm missing. I'm flustered with trying to film everything before I head off on a trip soon. So these are my favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.